Thank you for being here. Whoever's watching live or whoever listens or watches the replay, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm really excited about tonight's topic, which is a continuation of our tarot and dream series. So, this is essentially the fourth episode of the series. Initially, we had an intro episode that is in season 2, episode 14, if you want to check it out. And basically, we talked about the significance and the benefits and power of integrating your tarot practice with your dream practice. We shared some of the spreads that we like to do personally and different like techniques you can do, which we'll share a little bit about tonight, as we have firsthand experience with that. And then we talked, of course, talked about the Fool, which is episode 16, and then the Magician, which is episode 19. So here we are talking about the High Priestess, and I'm really excited. Alexis, I know you're excited too to have this conversation.
I am. I love the High Priestess card. It really is such a powerful one. And like I had been talking about right before we got on, I feel like there's so many people who connect to the High Priestess card because of the fact that one, it's a vital part of all of us, that divine feminine is in all of us. And two, we've been pushed so far away from connecting with that divine feminine, all of us as a collective, for so long now that it almost feels like we're in desperate need of its appearance. So I love this card. It's so powerful, so impactful, and so meaningful. And yeah, I'm super excited for this conversation.
Yeah, so before we get into the chat, this amazing, I'm really excited. Before we get into all the goodness of what we'll share tonight, I do just want to ask you, Alexis, how are you doing tonight? How are you feeling?
Well, I'm doing okay. I made the terrible decision last night to have way too many cups of wine. And thus, I, one, forgot to put my High Priestess card under my pillow, which was literally out on my desk ready to go for me. And so I disappointed myself with that, which is, whatever. I'm going to do it tonight and like the next couple days. And if something shows up, I'll let you guys know next week. But that being said, because I did get a little litty, um, I felt kind of crappy all day. So, woo to hangovers. And now I'm really feeling just like the tiredness of it. But honestly, as soon as we got on and started talking, my energy shifted as per usual and my excitement rose. So, I really can't complain. Like, I got through the worst of it. Now I'm good. How
Yeah,
about you?
you're almost to the bedtime. You're
Yeah.
getting it's getting
Yeah.
later and later. Um,
Yes.
yeah, but I'm sure you had a really good time like in the moment. So I'm sure it
Oh,
was a lot of fun.
it
Because
was
I
so
know those
much
moments
fun.
with wine and you're just like taking it back and it's always yes, like it's been a while, but those moments for me, it's like I've realized that I've drank like almost the entire bottle of wine. Because it's like, I'm hanging out and I'm thinking that I don't even think about, other people are drinking with me, but they're not necessarily drinking the bottle of wine that I'm drinking. And so
Yeah.
I'm having a good old time and I'm just pouring. And this is tea in here tonight, but
Yeah.
this is what I generally have. Like I'll have wine in this. So,
Hmm.
I mean, it's a very modest size, cauldron cup. And so I'm just like pouring it and pouring it and pouring it. And the next thing you know, I'm about to go to bed and I look at the bottle and it's like pretty much like three or two-thirds gone, if not
Hmm.
more. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna feel this. I'm gonna feel
I'm
this.
pretty good at limiting myself. Like normally I'm like, all
I'm
right, I
usually
have
good.
I have like a little goblet that's about this big, and I'm like, all right, I will have 3 cups of that little goblet max. Most of the time I only do 2 because I can feel it pretty quickly. I have a very low tolerance for alcohol. So
Same.
like I can really like if I drink my cup of wine fast enough, I don't need any other cups. Like one will do it.
Yeah.
However, I don't get like that often, and I'm glad because it would probably be a problem. But when I do, I usually end up posting something on Instagram that's very like so if you know me and you see it, you're like, I bet you're having a good time right now. The last time I did that, I posted a video on my story on Instagram just of me grinding my teeth. And I
Oh,
was so
yeah.
embarrassed the next day. I was like, why the what
Why?
part of me thought this was something that
Well,
should
you're
be
smart. You always put it on like your close friends. I
no.
don't know if you did with that one, but generally I always see when I
That's a good
see close
idea.
friends, generally like it's like you twerking or something, and I can tell like if you like
Yeah,
I'm just like, oh no. But I'm like, she's having a
100%.
good time. It's definitely like I'm like, oh, I wish I was there, if anything. Um,
Honestly, I am in such dire need of like a girls' night, like
yeah.
drinking, having wine, like getting drunk with my husband's fun, like whatever. Like we have so much fun, but there's a difference. Like there's
Yeah,
a
there's a
difference in
difference.
energy, and I am like craving that kind of like girlfriend hangout drunk. But anyway,
Yeah, no, that's so much fun. I'm feeling pretty good. Um, yeah, I was gonna have wine last night actually, but I decided against it more so because I was like lazy. I didn't feel like leaving the house, and honestly didn't feel like spending the money.
mm-hmm.
I've been on like a champagne kick, and I can like similar to you, it doesn't take much. So I get like it's like a small bottle, but you get like like 2.5 glasses of champagne.
Right,
If it's just me drinking it, like that's amazing.
yeah,
So, and it's like really inexpensive, but then now I'm kind of burnt out with it. So I want wine, but I'm like, ugh, I don't know. Like I was like being funny about spending the money. So anyway, I
I
didn't drink. I really
completely.
wanted to tonight, but I also decided against it for similar reasons. So it'll be soon. And I just got my moon too, and it's just like I feel kind of like, ugh, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't
Sometimes
want
like
to
it could be hit or
exasperate
miss.
this
Yeah, because
feeling.
sometimes you can
Yeah,
like have a really good time, and it's like, oh, like I'm feeling like it kind of takes the edge off
right,
of your cycle. But then sometimes it's like right now I'm like, I feel like it's gonna do the opposite. Um,
right.
so because my
No,
sleep
I
is,
get that actually. Normally, so when I get my moon, that's when I tend to like only smoke weed. Where
yeah,
like when I'm like not in that cycle, that's when I'll let myself like drink.
yeah,
And I definitely get that the more negative feelings on my period when I drink. So I've definitely learned my lesson with that.
yeah.
But
Definitely
that
take the magnesium. Like if I'm on my moon and I'm having wine, I have to like do magnesium.
that's a good idea. That's a great idea actually. And you know, at the liquor store too. So the bottle of wine I like is only $11. It's a
Mm-hmm.
good red. I love it. It tastes good. It's smooth. Whatever. It's a full bottle and it's $11. And I'm like, whatever. That's great. But if I only want like 2 cups, they have these like juice boxes.
I know
Like
what
you
you're talking
can buy one of them and it's like
about.
four
Yeah.
ninety nine.
Yeah, the Boda boxes. Yeah, I used to get those.
Yes. And
But
I'm
I can't
like,
see,
this is so nice. This
I
is
only get
it's
them if I'm getting red wine, and I haven't been doing red wine in forever. Like I don't know
yeah.
what it is. I can't do the white. I think I have before, but it's not the same.
The
Like
white wine in the
white
box
wine in the
versus the
box.
red wine.
Yeah, no, I can't. I don't know why. It's probably all in my head, but
Honestly, I haven't been a fan of white wine in a while, and I can kind of see where you're coming from with that in
I need to
regards to
be
flavor.
crisp, clean. Like not saying it's
Mm-hmm.
not clean in it, but you get what I'm saying. I need to be
No,
crisp.
but
So
they're different. Like, yeah, the white wines
different.
you want more crisp. The red wines, like, it's more organic and earthy. So,
Hmm.
like, I can absolutely see that.
Yeah. But anyway, speaking of moons, the moon currently, as we're recording this, she is in Cancer. So I was like, oh, that's kind of perfect to have this conversation about the High Priestess. The High Priestess it is associated as far as like the astrology or planetary correspondent, she's associated with the moon. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. We're talking about dreams, we're talking about the High Priestess. And then the moon is also in Cancer and it's home and just like in this like very hopefully cozy, emotionally stable, like it's strong, intuitive, um, connected place. So I feel like that kind of like that's a nice synchronicity. I didn't really know that that was happening today. So Yeah, we didn't plan on that. So I'm excited about that.
To add on to that, it's in the first quarter right now.
Mhm.
So it's like
Yeah.
half light, half dark,
Oh yeah.
which represents the duality of the High
Yes.
Priestess.
Oh my goodness. Yes. That is so perfect. Oh my gosh. See, cannot make this stuff up.
Mm-mm.
Awesome. So, I mean, with that said, we should just go ahead and start talking about the High Priestess. So, I think it's good to start out with, or one, I want to reflect on the journey that we're on because the way I see, like when I'm talking about like the major arcana, kind of in this context when we're going card after card after card, I like to speak to like the journey, how it unfolds, right? And so we already shared about the Fool and how that is this like feeling of, or like this initiation of the new beginning, taking a leap of faith, trusting in the unknown. And there's kind of like a youthful, almost like innocence or naivety around the Fool. So that's where we begin the journey. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, just that childlike energy that's like exuding out of the Fool, and also the that naivety
Naivety.
naivety
Yep.
the aspect of being naive comes through really strongly in that card, which is, a good thing and a bad thing, because on one hand you're not fearful of what's to come, so you're just kind of moving through it, moving forward, and allowing for experiences, but on the other hand you don't know what to look for in regards to red flags and warnings and stuff along your path. So I really like that. I like the way that the Fool I like the way that the Fool comes through. And because, when you're starting anything new, you really have to prep a little bit. But
Hmm.
sometimes life kind of throws you in a direction you're not expecting and you don't have the opportunity to prep. So I don't
You
know.
just got
Yeah, that's all.
just gotta go with that flow. Just like I feel like the Fool is also just being, yeah, being in the flow of the energy and to some degree kind of trusting. Like you might not have it all figured out, but you feel just like that kind of like, I think we talked about like the air element in that with that card where it's like you just feel like this wind is kind of carrying you with that full energy.
Absolutely.
So then moving to the magician, and we talked about the magician. So at this point, it's like I feel like that excitement kind of turns into, or maybe that the journey and just like not knowing and feeling that like inspiration to like take some risk and like just trust in the divine, like that creates like this surge of energy and of excitement to start to kind of just let it all pour through you. And you can really see that in the traditional Rider Waite Smith card where he's got one arm up with the wand and then he's got the other arm pointing down, and so he literally is the antenna, he is the vessel for like that divine energy and creating that to something physical or like some sort of physical experience here in this reality. And so there's that like kind of like that feeling of empowerment. So it's kind of still like you're in this essence of like the excitement and the activity of like whatever the beginning of this journey is. And like we all know, like we get super excited about something very passionate, get very creative, and it's just like flowing through you. It's awesome. But then, oh yeah, did you want to add to the magician?
Yeah, well, one of the things I was going to mention, this is the journey. And when we're looking at this as a journey, like, the Fool is 0 in the deck. The magician has the infinity sign in the card. So what do they share? Where's that crossover? It's the infinite possibility. And I feel like with the magician to the priestess, there's a similar thing where it's not the infinite possibility. I mean, it is to an extent, infinite possibilities, but really what shows is the duality, that as above so below, kind of bringing everything together, that, like you said, that antenna transmuting everything through. The duality of the magician comes through really strongly, and you see that with the priestess as well. So I just like to see that crossover into the next card.
Yeah. And the interesting thing too about the magician and the high priestess is that like they're kind of their energies are opposite but similar,
Yeah.
where it's like there's like this creative energy and like there's that excitement and that feeling, but then with the magician it's more of like action oriented or like something happening like yeah, not necessarily not necessarily external, but it's in relation to the external world. Like if you think, I know manifestation is one of those associations to the magician. With the high priestess it's more of like an internal experience, right? And it's more like
Right.
the energy is focused inward instead of outward with the magician. Like so with the magician, if you're creating something like literally with a wand or whatever you're doing, you're bringing it into physical form. That creative energy with the high priestess is more so within, and it's that whole experience of that. So yeah, let's go ahead. I'm going to share the picture of, oh, did you want to add
Well,
something
I
else?
would just wanted to add to that, talking about the magician and the priestess and them kind of being opposites, in regards to, what you're doing with them and where they are in regards to, planes of existence, I guess, different realms. I had been reading something, I don't remember where it was from, but they were saying that the magician is the guardian of the conscious,
Mm-hmm.
where the high priestess is the guardian of the subconscious. And
Mm.
I felt like that when you were explaining that, like that came through really strongly. Like,
Fully.
the magician's working with the material, he's here in this waking realm where the high priestess is in between, in that liminal, in the ethereal, in the dream world, in the like, behind the veil. So yes, in that subconscious.
Yes, I love that. So the magician working more in the realm of the conscious mind and like the conscious reality, and then the high priestess working within the subconscious mind or in that reality. And I love that because like when I think about the magician, I think about, and just even with the card, when we showed the card in that episode, there was a lot of reds and yellows, very like bright cards. And you'll see in the traditional Rider Waite Smith version of the High Priestess, there's a lot of blues and whites and whatnot. And so I like that contrast. And with the magician, when I think about that, it's that creative energy and that action orientation. And it really does make me think about the conscious mind and the ego, which is something I've been talking about a lot lately, where like the ego is essentially like the anchor of like our physical reality. Like it's essentially like we need that to experience the physical world and to like bring things into reality. Like the ego essentially um is the aspect of consciousness that's responsible for bringing like our ideas and thoughts and so forth into physical form, right? And so like that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so that, thank you. And then of course we're going to talk about how the subconscious is connected to dreams, and it makes sense where it's like these different realms, like the magician and the high priestess have like guardianship over those, and I love that. So with that in mind, I'm going to share my screen. So if you are listening to the this episode on Spotify, maybe check out the vision or check us out on YouTube. But I'm sure if you're familiar with tarot, you've seen this card before. And like I said, this is the traditional Rider Waite Smith image of the card. So, I mean, I know some people it's kind of boring, but this is the OG. And so we're gonna also share our own personal decks too, like different variations of this. But like you can see here with the High Priestess, now we're in these colors representing intuition and emotion and water, and you can see there is literally the moon crescent here in the image of the high priestess. So there's this connection of the moon, and even her gown is flowing, like water. And
Yeah.
so already getting that visual impression of like fluidity and that emotional kind of energy.
Yeah, 100%. And if you don't mind, I would like to share a description of the visual from a website. I thought it was really informative and in depth. The website is Biddy Tarot, which I'm sure if you do tarot, it's one of the websites that a lot of people go to for interpretation. Um, but yeah, is there anything you want to add before I do that?
No, go for it.
Okay. So the high priestess sits in front of a thin veil decorated with pomegranates. The veil represents the separate conscious and subconscious realms, the seen and the unseen, and serves to keep casual onlookers out. Only the initiated may enter. The pomegranates on the veil are a symbol of abundance, fertility, and the divine feminine, and are sacred to Persephone, who ate a pomegranate seed in the underworld and was forced to return every year. On the other side of the high priestess stands two pillars marking the entrance to the sacred mystic temple, also associated with the Temple of Solomon. One pillar is black with the letter B, bows, meaning in his strength, and the other is white with the letter J, Jachin. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one, but we're gonna say yes. That's close enough. Meaning he will establish. The black and white colors of the pillars symbolize duality, masculine and feminine, darkness and light, stating that knowledge and acceptance of duality are required to enter the sacred space. The high priestess wears a blue robe with a cross on her chest and a crown, both a symbol of her divine knowledge and her status as a divine ruler. In her lap, she holds a scroll with the letters Torah, signifying the greater law. It is partly covered, signifying that the sacred knowledge is both explicit and implicit. It will only be revealed when the student is ready to look beyond the material realm. The crescent moon at her feet symbolizes her connection with the divine feminine, her intuition and subconscious mind, and the natural cycles of the moon. So that was the description that I found, and I really love that because I always saw this card, and I never understood why there was a B and a J on the columns. Like I learned all of this, like I learned about it, and then I just never looked into the B and J, or I just didn't retain the information. But all that being said, it's so interesting the way that it's like orchestrated, the way it's designed, and all of the symbolism that is really embedded in this particular card. I mean, don't get me wrong, the last two cards there was a lot of symbolism, but I feel like I don't know, it feels like there's a little bit more depth to the symbolism that's in this card, which makes so much sense considering she's the high priestess.
Well, it's also, what's really standing out to me right now is like I feel there's so many just like spiritual associations on this card because like with her crown, that's actually, or I almost shouldn't say actually, but it is the crown of Hat, like it's Hathor's crown where you have the two horns and the solar disc in the middle. So it looks very similar to that. Then we have the cross, so that's bringing us to like Mother Mary or like Christianity. Then you have the Torah, which is like Jewish, or I guess you could say Judaism, right? And then with the moon, that's more of like the like esoteric spiritualism. And then even with the pomegranates, there's that like Greek mythology. So there's so many different like symbols of the divine
Mm-hmm.
feminine, right? And
Yeah.
it's interesting. I didn't even really think about that until now. And it's like it's interesting um with this figure. It's like whenever I do see the high priestess, I always see her like when I see it in readings, it's funny, like I kind of laugh to myself depending on the context, but I always feel like it's kind of like it doesn't shut down my question, but it's like I'm not giving you the answer, or it's like you're like it's like you have to dig deeper, kind of
Right.
right? Like she is essentially like the veil. Like I always feel like she's like that like liminal energy.
Yep.
And it's like kind of depending on the deck too, it's kind of like, oh, ha ha ha, like I'm not gonna give it all to you, or this is something you need to go inward and like you're not gonna like I'm not gonna give you the full message in this reading.
Right.
Like
And I love that you mentioned like all of those aspects of like different forms of religion and spiritualism because it really feels like in order to connect with the the High Priestess and the sacred information, and that you have to really have an open mind for everything and understand that there's validity and falseness to everything, and being able to see the nuances and being able to see life as essentially grayscale. You know, there's so much that you don't want to exclude in
Mm-hmm.
regards to your understanding of the world around you. And you know, I that it's very powerful, because I do believe that in order to really tap into that level of sacred knowledge and understanding, your brain has to be open to everything, all of it. Like, of course, you can discern
Yeah.
things. You know, when you're moving through and understanding all these things, like, you can take and leave behind what doesn't feel right, doesn't work, what, you know, but that's your own discretion, your own. But actually just having the ability to open up and to everything is how you grow through this card. Like, that's how you reach the importance and understanding around this card and yourself. I always consider the High Priestess as being like the higher self too.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if everybody feels this way. I feel like, because of the idea of the higher self, could possibly be taken more so as like a blended of the masc and the feminine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I always, when I think about the higher self, for me, I think of the high priestess for sure.
Yeah, I think like so similar to that for me, I think of it like when I think about dreams, I think about like I will tell people or not tell people, but one of the things I like if I'm teaching a dream class basically, one of the things I will always start out with is, inviting people to really get curious about who they're connecting with. Like, who do you think is producing the dreams, right? Like, and it can change. Obviously, we've talked about this in many episodes where it's like either your higher self or it's maybe like your inner child or, maybe like a spirit guide. But for me, I would say I always refer to as my inner being as default. Like, generally, it's my inner being, but sometimes, guides and such come in. And like when I think about that inner being, essentially I feel like it's kind of like the high priestess where there's this like mysterious aspect to it. It's very quiet. You have to like quiet down. You have to slow down to really like connect and receive that wisdom. And it's not it's not going to be given to you like logically, like here's like the manual or like the written word or whatever. It's like through feelings, through imagery, um and so forth. And that's kind of what I feel from the high priestess, and essentially that's what she represents, is that more of that intuitive energy. And like what I also want to speak to that you reminded me of is like when you mention kind of like having you have to have your mind open, but also with discernment. And it's like I see that in the two pillars, right? Just the black
Right.
and the white, and the number two, where there's that duality, and she's like in the middle. And like one of the things that I've been really learning and experiencing is essentially how to like embrace the paradox of life, right? Of life on earth, where there's like even like you say pleasure and pain, like you're always going to have pleasure and pain. How do you find like the sweet spot, or how do you be present and be okay, with the pain? Of course that's hard to be okay with at times, and even with pleasure sometimes we have a difficult time of receiving pleasure, experiencing pleasure, because either one, we're anticipating it to end soon, or maybe we don't feel comfortable being in that energy because of things that have happened in our life. And so I feel with earth, like you're always kind of in that in between of pleasure and pain, or there's a paradox, the duality of like, oh, like I feel really good, but then, people are suffering and I feel like the guilt around that. Like, how do I
Yep.
hold like both realities and feel good about that? And I feel um with the high priestess, it can also like symbolize that or communicate that in the sense of like you like basically being not, I guess, open to it. I just lost kind of my train of thought of where I was gonna land that, but yeah, it's kind of like being able to, oh yeah, so she's kind of the truth, seeing all things that are connected, but also there's a separation. So that's one thing you mentioned too, like in your own words, but there's like being okay with like your own individual self, which is like that magician energy, like being in the external world and so forth. But then also realizing that like we're all connected. Like, yes, there are all these different spiritualities or perspectives, and then here's like the truth, what she's holding, like not specifically in the picture, but like what she gives access to is that connection, the energy, the underlying energy that like is that thread basically that connects all of these different things. And you have to work for it. It's not easy.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's so funny you ended with that because I was just going to bring this up after you were done and talk about how, like, the high priestess shows herself to the, the reader essentially when the reader is ready to look beyond the veil and ready to kind of push through the superficiality of life. Everybody kind of wants this easy way out. Everybody wants the easiest way of understanding and of moving through things, and it's just not reality. Like, it just doesn't work, and you're missing out on the full experience even if it's painful. And it reminds me of something I read because I've been reading a lot lately, like reading a lot of books lately, and I read something recently about how you cannot pick up on the nuances of a story if you only read the summary. And it makes me think about how we move through life. If you're not allowing yourself to experience and understand the full scope of what is happening, you're not going to be able to pick out the lessons and understand the tools and be able to bring that into your toolbox and help you move through life and move through things. Like, you're missing out. It's almost like that avoidant, like you're getting a quick answer, you're missing out
Mhm.
on the depth, and therefore you're not truly understanding yourself or existence because you want something that's going to be easy and frankly lighthearted. Like, I feel like a lot of people, they just want something that's not going to be heavy, and unfortunately, like, that's, it's just, if you want to stay cemented in the mud while the world moves past you, like, it just doesn't do you any good. It doesn't do you any good. So I feel like the high priestess, it is you deciding, like, it comes through when you decide, I need to peer through that veil, I need to stop just reading the summaries, and I need to actually pick up the book and understand full and through what it is that we are experiencing. I think about this with, like, um you know uh pop astrology, right?
Mhm.
So you have astrology and then you have pop astrology. Pop astrology is watered down to, like, basically garbage
And this
because
like
there's
sun
so many.
sign focused and yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I'm a Libra. If it was a pop astrology thing, it would be like super into pink and shopping and indecisive. And, like, well, that is an incredibly, first of all, false understanding of who I am as a person, but there's no nuance, there's no depth, there's nothing really. It's so superficial. But then you start learning about the different placements and, like, where your sun is in Libra on your chart and, like, what it's connected to and the aspects, and then you start to get a full picture and a full understanding. Well, that's what the high priestess bringing to you and calling you to do, is to open up your eyes and not think in black and white, but think in
Mhm.
grayscale and see everything, all of it's good, all of it's bad, and experience it and take in what you need and move on from what you don't. And it's just, I love that card. Like, I love this card for that specifically because you see so many people who miss out on so much because they're afraid to go deep with things. And I just, if I see this, especially if it's in its reversal, I know
Mhm.
that either myself or the person I'm reading is having a hard time allowing themselves to move through and experience the entire thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, you're so right on. Um, I'm like, what is going on with my brain today? Because it's like I'm forgetting, I'm forgetting stuff.
I'm the same way. I feel like I opened my mouth and like a lot of what I was thinking morphed into jumble, like just like
No, but it came out really clear and it sparked. Oh, I knew what I was gonna say. I'm just having a hard time like holding on to my thoughts. But what I was gonna say is like you're speaking to, like it is hard to like go deeper. And like that's one of the things when I was really reflecting and making notes for this and thinking about the Fool to the Magician, and those cards like have so much energy and excitement, and it's just like I can do anything. It's like, and I think about the journey, really the journey of like that spiritual awakening, or just like going deeper within yourself, learning about yourself and just your existence here, and connecting with that. And again, with the Fool, it's like that innocence, and I'm going to take the risk. Like I feel the surge within me, and I feel like, okay, maybe I can like take a leap of faith, and I do it. And then you land with the Magician energy where you're just like, oh, I'm like tapping into, like, say if you're doing rituals and you just like you're on fire. And then naturally, as a part of this process, you're going to be invited, right? You haven't done it yet, but you reach a threshold where it's like you have to peel back another layer, and it's like you already have this sense of like what's behind that, or maybe you don't know yet, but like that uncertainty or even that subtle knowing is kind of scary, because
yeah.
it's like, oh, I just like, like you just had this fun and did all of these things, and then you have to like go deeper, right? And like you said, like we tend to want to enjoy the fun, pleasurable things. And it's really hard to like go deep and look at ourselves and look at the shadow, and so, or like even learning about existence can be scary, because like once you know, you can't unknow.
Yeah.
So a lot of people like to stay in the safe zone. And the priestess is literally the guardian, the invitation to go a little bit deeper, right? It is like when I see her too, another thing that comes forth depending on the reading is like initiation. Like someone's
Mm-hmm.
about to go through initiation, like you're gonna have to like go within and do that inner work to receive the guidance, or the like whatever it is that you're needing, the healing, the guidance, the clarity. Like you're gonna have to dig a little bit deeper. And so that's why I always
Absolutely.
laugh when I see that card to myself, because I'm just like, I already know. And also for me too, it's just like, I'm not gonna give you the answers right now. Like
Yeah.
there's work you gotta do.
Well, and you know what? I think one of the signs that you're walking through the threshold of the high priestess is that you're simply just trusting your intuition more.
Mhm.
You're like feeling things and making your decision based on your own intuition, your own feelings, rather than looking for someone to guide you and looking for someone to give you an answer and looking for outside validation. And like, instead of just sitting on the surface of, I don't know what to do, you are actually like, well, my intuition is giving me this, to is telling me no for this decision, and then you make that decision based on your intuition and just trusting yourself.
Yeah.
And I know that I have gone through my ups and downs with that aspect of crossing that threshold, and how it really feels so uncomfortable
Hmm.
for someone not to show you how to do it or tell you what to do. And you just have to sit with yourself and go, well, what do I even do? Where do I even begin? Why would I? But once you start like listening to yourself and trusting your gut around
Hmm.
your daily routine, doing things that feel right for you, that's how you know that you're beginning to really dive into the high priestess energy. Like you're
Yeah.
now opening yourself up to yourself, your inner being. And it kind of changes your life.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it changes your life.
Yeah, you don't need that outside validation as much, right? Like the confirmation, the validation, like, go ahead, it's okay. Like this is when, yeah, it's that process of trusting yourself, learning yourself, and being okay to make mistakes. And that's again that duality, that paradox. It's like sometimes you're gonna get it right, sometimes you're gonna get it wrong. Like it's never gonna be 100% one or the other. It's always gonna be somewhere in the middle, like, and it's
Mm-hmm.
you have to, again, it's like being okay with that. um so we should share our cards.
Yes. Do you want to go
Uh,
first?
Yeah, so we'll share our variations of our tarot cards. I'm going to start with mine and I'm going to pin my screen here. Wait, I think I pinned you. Maybe it just brings you up even though I pinned myself. Oh no. Okay, there we go. All right. So this is my High Priestess card.
Oh,
This is
beautiful.
from Dream of Nile Tarot deck, and please don't be mad at me. I forgot the author's name. But it is in the description of this video, I believe. If not, it'll be there later. But this is Isis on the card. I love this card. I love the
It's
imagery. The only thing that bothers me, I'm like,
beautiful.
why is her head so big? Or so small, I mean. But that's okay. It's not about her head. But you see, we have the blues and the purples, and there's that crescent moon. So there's a bit of variation there. So I'm just going to read the interpretation of the card. Um, okay, so yes, the keywords here are intuition, mystery, inner wisdom, subconscious, cycles, and secrets. Planetary energy is the moon, of course. So it says the priestess serves as a conduit between the conscious and the subconscious, the known and the unknown. She is a guardian of secrets, mysteries, and esoteric wisdom. Representing intuitive insight, she invites the querent to explore deeper realms of their psyche and the universe. The priestess signifies a call to trust one's intuition, to embrace the mysteries of life, and to recognize the cyclical nature of events. In reading, she often suggests a need to pay attention to dreams, symbols, and inner guidance. In a reverse position, the priestess may point to being out of touch with one's intuition or inner wisdom. There might be a tendency to ignore dreams or signs from the universe. This position can also indicate hidden agendas, secrets, or things not being as they seem. So that's pretty
I
specific.
like that description. And that card is so beautiful. That deck is so
Yeah, I
beautiful.
love this deck.
You know, one of the things that stuck out from that interpretation was the acknowledgement of cycles. And I know we mentioned it, but it didn't, for some reason, it didn't spark my brain until this time around. But, you know, if you are looking to connect more with the high priestess energy, and you know, one of the things that can help jumpstart your relationship with that energy is if you have your period, start following your period with the moon, like tracking your period with the moon. And then you understand more the cycles of how your body functions and how it pairs up with the cycles of the moon. And you start to like intuitively know your body and the moon simultaneously,
Mm,
just at a on a deeper level. So you know, that just came to mind because I only started tracking my period with the moon when Urania and I started talking and like having these conversations.
mm-hmm.
And I feel more connected with myself and more connected with that divine feminine and more connected with just everything. And I think that you don't realize how important and how much it makes a difference until you actually do it. So if you're looking to jumpstart your relationship with the high priestess, and you do have a period, I highly suggest doing that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I love that. Especially then it all connects to dreams and like,
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Yeah.
Oh, um, I'll share mine now then. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So my card is this.
Nice. Ooh, look at that veil. Ooh, mysterious. I
Yeah,
love
it's
it.
like it feels where the other two were like clearly women. This one feels like you don't know. Like
Yeah.
it's the divine feminine, of course, but like you just it's duality. You don't know. It doesn't
Yeah.
really signify
I'm like, is it
anything
even a
point.
person? It could be like
It could be
other
just
things.
the essence, like just an essence of existence.
Yeah.
Um, but I love this card. I am a little disappointed that it doesn't have the pillars.
Mm.
Because I do
Yeah,
think
mine
that that's
doesn't
an
either.
but I saw the arms up as kind of like pillars, like that, like
Yeah,
just
that's
the energy of it, because the pillars to me, you know, represents portals. Like it
true.
represents that portal energy and being able to move through the realms. So I'm a little disappointed, but not that disappointed.
Yeah,
So,
the veil is like is yeah, very
but
unique.
yeah, sorry, I like lost my train of thought for a second. So I'll read the interpretation. So this in my deck, the High Priestess is called the Lifting Veil, which adds up, and then the reversed name of it is the Unseen. So this is a water card ruled by the moon, and it's under the sign of Virgo. What's hidden invites you, yet guards its mysterious well. The veil is the liminal space, the in between. What you seek hides not from sight, but from understanding. Lift it and transcend. Keep it and dwell in mysterious bliss. Lunar tides shimmer in the eyes of the veil as she parts the gossamer curtain, revealing glimpses of ancient slumbering truths. Virgo's discernment guides her steps through the liminal space between worlds and the waters of intuition that ebb and flow. The lifting veil, intuition, mystery, and sacred knowledge. As the magus manifests external realities, the lifting veil beckons inward to the oracle of secrets in the soul. Heed the whispers rising from the still waters and dreams. Silence is a sanctuary allowing the unconscious to yield its enigmatic treasures. And I'll read the reverse too because it's not very long. So this is the unseen. Disconnected from inner guidance, one stumbles through shadow realms of repressed intuition and unacknowledged secrets. Beware the murky waters of self deception and hidden motives, lest they drag you into the depths of the abyss. And you know, it's
Mm.
funny because whenever I get this reversal, I already know exactly what it is it's pointing to. Like when my high priestess is reversed, I already know. Like it doesn't even need to tell me the message because I already know.
Yeah.
I'm avoiding
We're in
something.
the
I'm
knowing.
bypassing something. I'm doing
As soon
something
as you
that's
see that,
keeping
you're
me
like,
from.
it's like instant clarity. It's like,
Yep.
oh shoot,
I
right?
usually roll my eyes. I usually roll my eyes and I'm like, yeah, thanks. I knew this already. Thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Well, I love that we both, I know that you didn't do this. Neither one of us um went to the guidebook, like read the guidebook before we like made our notes or prepared for this. So I love that like everything we spoke about, like pretty
Yeah.
much each point was in the guidebooks in like short little paragraphs. And
Right.
we touched on everything, the veil, the water, the liminal space, the in between, the quietness, the same, like all of it is just, I love the High Priestess. And I feel, I was telling Alexis this, most everyone who's like really into tarot, like we all love the High Priestess card because it literally is also tarot. It is like, these intuitive type divination tools. Like that is like connecting with that High Priestess energy. So I think that we did a lot. We spoke a lot of the High Priestess in general. So now it's really nice to integrate this archetype with the dream space. And I really do, honestly, I'm like, the High Priestess is the dream. Like she's the guardian of that realm, as you mentioned, with the subconscious connection, her like being the guardian of that. So it only makes sense that she also is the key to accessing our dreams, which is again why I feel her connection really strongly, especially when I got really deep into it, intentional dream work. I'm like, oh, this is where, as far as me feeling a connection to the priestess in my own spiritual practice, like this is where I really feel that. I'm like, oh yeah, like this is where it's at. Um, and then we also mentioned how she's connected to the moon. And so again, there's that connection of moon, dreams, high priestess, like going into the inner world, connecting to your emotions, being open to like receiving the messages through emotions, through anything that's like pretty much like not in the frame of mind of like the conscious mind, basically.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I thought that was
I keep
great.
going. So then let's go into like the dream symbols. I mean, this is really easy. So everything that we spoke about, I mean, of course, like the veil is a big one, curtains, like doors being open, temples, scrolls, that's another one, like, even like the ancient, like I feel like any kind of like ancient-y vibes where there's has to do with like some sort of mysticism,
Mm-hmm.
that feels like her. And also with, of course, the moon. And when I was doing a little bit of research, mirrors was something they mentioned. I was like, oh, that's a really good one because of that self-reflection and really looking at yourself. And like, when you do like the mirror work or mirror magic, I can definitely see that correlating to the High Priestess.
Absolutely.
And then of course like guides, like feminine guides,
Right.
that come through, kind of hold that High Priestess aspect, like the feminine guides in the dream space specifically, integrate that.
Absolutely. And there are a few things that for me, when I have dreams where I feel like the high priestess energy is coming through, one of them being is like you had mentioned guides. Like I think of my higher self, this
Mm,
this energy that's really like coming down and guiding you and pushing you towards what you need to, or even like holding your hand through an experience, or holding up, shining a light forward.
mm,
um I have had dream experiences where I'm literally like I feel like I'm literally being picked up by like disembodied, ethereal fingers. Like I can feel myself being picked up and just placed somewhere else. And, the other aspect of um, dreaming that I feel like that high priestess energy comes through is when your dreams are layered. So like
mm,
with the high priestess and these experience, like an experience like that, where like I'm in one scene and then I'm physically picked up and put somewhere else. It's like giving me a deeper understanding of the topic at hand, and like guiding me to look in a direction I probably wouldn't have looked without that help. Or
mm,
I recently had a dream that I had shared about being at my grandfather's house and having this really intense negative energy coming out from the closet stairs. And, it wasn't until I faced this energy with my own personal power that this ethereal being showed itself to me and
mm,
created like a bond in a way. And I feel like the aspect of facing the difficult, scary thing
mm.
and moving through it is that veil being pulled up and you being brought to higher wisdom, higher knowledge, and more connection with the self. Another one I can think of that to me would represent that high priestess energy is like um, dreams where I'm running through different realms, like
Mm,
moving through different realms and experiencing different things. And like there was this one dream I had where I'm literally running through different realities and I end up getting stopped between one in an elevator. And like I can see the realms in front of me and I can see the realms behind me. It kind of reminded me of like the multiverse of madness, or the I think that the Doctor Strange multiverse of madness, where like you can kind of see all the different
yeah.
realities lined up. Like it was kind of like that, and then the ceiling to the elevator was pulled off, and there were these people who were huge. They were people in my life, and they were really really big, like monstrous sized. And it was just like this, there was so much depth and so much layers to be, you really have to sit and kind of like dissect and get an understanding of all the nuances within that experience. And I just, those types of dreams that have like multiple layers to getting to something, like I just feel exude that energy.
Wow, I didn't even like think about like the like because that is a thing with the layers, like peeling back the layers or going even like, with dreams where you go deeper, like somehow you go deeper and deeper to the into the dreams. Like, sometimes it's like I've had similar experiences where I'm like in a dream, like which you could say a regular dream would be,
Mhm.
and then like literally I've fallen into bed And it's like I wake up, that's when I was sharing that I had like sleep paralysis type situation in the dream. And then it's like I wake up to another reality, and then I go into like through a door, through the wall, into like another reality. So I didn't even think of that, but there's like these nesting realities, and that
Yeah,
totally is like high priestess energy. Wow.
absolutely. Because you really have to, you have to keep going forward, and you have to understand more as it comes, and like it's just so enriched with the symbolism of your own existence and all of your experiences and what you need to face and what you have faced, and the lessons that came through and whatnot. It's really just this extremely deep understanding of that spiritual wisdom of yourself. I
Yeah.
just I love having dreams like that too, where it's just layer upon layer upon layer upon layer.
Yeah, so so I wanted to touch on like the emotional energy of kind of like a high priestess type dream. And I would speak to like the mysterious nature, right? Curiosity, also like if it's like shadowy things going on, it can be like the confusion or maybe like disorientation. Like if we're talking about going through like different realms or different layers, there can be kind of like I've never experienced being, well, no, that's not true. I was gonna say I've never experienced being lost in the dream, but that can like also be a thing too, or going in and out of lucidity. Not to say that's a bad thing, but that seems like that the feeling that can come with that of like, like the disorientation can be an aspect, like an emotional tone of the high priestess energy.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. The other thing that I feel like shows up through this energy is the void.
Mm,
Like if the void is in your dream, which is like, for me it's like just like nothingness. Like sometimes it's black nothingness, sometimes it's white nothingness, sometimes it's like a multitude of colors kind of weaving in and out, but it is the void. And I feel like that is the other side of the veil. That is the other side of knowing. And like you're being surrounded by the unknown, and it is your job to move through your dream to get to that void, and the void reveal itself, reveal what it is that you don't know or don't understand. And like, I don't dream incubate that often,
mhm,
but talking about this now, it makes me want to, since the void is something that shows up so frequently in my dreams, it makes me want to take the time to incubate actually walking through that voided space rather
mhm.
than just existing within it.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good point with the void. Speaking of dream incubation, I think this is a good
I'm so excited.
segue.
Yes. Yes.
So one of the techniques we shared in utilizing your dream practice with your tarot practice essentially is sleeping with a tarot card to see, what message it has for you. I'm sure you can also kind of set an intention around, like, I guess, this action of with sleeping with the high priest, sleeping with the high priestess was an intention, like was both an intention and also asking for what message it has for me. And so actually saying that, I'm actually really excited because there's that duality, there's being in the in between. Um, and so that is one of the practices that you can do. And so through this series, Alexis and I have been doing this practice with each card that we're doing. So last episode in this series on the magician, Alexis slept with the magician.
I did.
I like saying it that way. And last night, in preparation for this as an experiment, I slept with the high priestess. And so I want to share that experience. It was, it's a very short dream share, as I didn't write it down, but it's like it was a really cool dream. And so like I feel it more than anything, more than I can put it into words. Um but essentially, so I had basically just put it under my pillow, and when I was falling asleep, I, asked the high priestess, what message do you have for me? What do you want to share? And so in my dream last night, or I guess this morning, basically I was in this house and I had moved to this house. It was a huge like mansion. It was occupied by spirits. And it was also like part of like a restaurant or something that I was working in. So it was like I would leave certain parts of the house and go work in another part of the house. It was really interesting. Um, but anyways, so I remember there were certain rooms that I didn't want to go into. And so my daughter and her father, we all shared a room like on the first floor. And it was like the house was so occupied by spirits. It was like
Ooh.
you kind of didn't want to walk around, but also it was not super like I wasn't super scary. I just felt like I wanted to take my time with it. So I
Right.
was like, let's all be in this room. And I remember there were other people, or maybe the people that were showing us the house or something. Um, they were like I was talking to them about it, and I was like, he was like, oh, the previous family that lived here, they all like slept upstairs, like in one bedroom. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I wanted to go upstairs at some point. Or so later in the dream, um, I was walking around the house by myself, and there were like children spirits, and they were like basically ghosts, but more, I would say more animated than ghosts. I mean, maybe children ghosts are animated. But I think also a part of that was kind of day residue because I've been rewatching Game of Thrones, and it's like at the spoiler alert. Sorry, Alexis, I know you probably don't care, right? But it
Look,
was like
I don't know
this,
if I'm ever gonna get around to
right?
it.
Yes, it's a whole thing. Like we would have to like live together, and I would make you watch it. Because it's really good. But anyways, there's like the undead in the show, and eventually at like the last season, they finally have an interaction. So, I'm watching a lot of these undead characters, creatures, whatever. And so like the kids were kind of like that, but they weren't like creepy, like zombie like. They were just like playful and energetic, and they had the blue eyes like in Game of Thrones. And so I was talking to them, and I can't like now I can't remember what they were saying, but I was just really curious about them. And then very soon after walking with them, I'm walking again, and then there's this woman that walks beside me, and she's like, the only thing she really said, she was like, "Oh, you'll never know the full like scope or like the full like you'll never know it all, basically." So it was almost like, so stop asking or something. I like that's kind of the energy I felt. And I was like, yeah,
Ooh.
like I like it was literally like that. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I know. I was like, I know, and I'm doing the work, and I know like that things will be revealed in its time. And she was like, yeah, you'll know what you need to know when you need to know it, and
Mm-hmm.
you'll never know it all. And
Mm-hmm.
like I'm getting goosebumps. And then that was like it, like she ended up like the dream ended up shifting or whatever, but I don't really remember anything aside from that. And then other things happened in the dream, but that really stood out to me. And it was like one of those moments in the dream where like it's like a surreal moment. Um, and I wasn't like fully like I was conscious, but I wasn't like lucid to like go on and probe. Um, but yeah, and so that's pretty much it. But as I was making the notes, I was like, oh, that was totally like the card even speaking to me because
Yeah.
there's some things going in my life right now, and I'm just like I feel like things are moving. Like I'm starting to have manifestations, like big ones, but I'm like, why is it taking so like like you want to know the answers, like, and I'm pulling cards and making my plans, and I'm like literally talking to my spirit guides. The past couple of days I've been sitting here at my desk and like but turn the other way because I have Tara and all of my altars right there, and I'm like having coffee talking to them. And
Yes.
um but like sometimes I'm asking them for guidance, but generally I'm like showing appreciation because things have been coming like to fruition. But then it's like also I am probing, and I literally felt that in the dream where she was like, so stop asking and just do what you need to do every day.
Yeah.
Like
It'll
you're
come
never
to
gonna
you.
know. We're not gonna
Yeah.
tell you. And I was like, so when I started doing the notes, I was like, oh, wow, that is literally the high priestess. She's like, I'm not giving you at all.
And she's also asking for stillness, which is an aspect of the high priestess, is that stillness, that
Still one.
patience.
Yeah.
But I love the aspect of like the spiritual energy coming through, because I know it was day residue, but it also reminds me of like lifting the veil. Like the veil is thin. The veil is thin, so you're connecting more with, other realms. And like, why wouldn't you be connecting with not only the dream realm, but like the spiritual realm as well? Like, really like intertwining in that. I love just the energy of that being in general, like just her energy in general. Could you see her, or was it just knowing that she was there?
No, I saw her. She was like probably like she was like a white, maybe like a white European woman. I was gonna say American, but like definitely like European, probably in her like like late 50s, early 60s. I'm trying to think if she was like from this time period. I want to say it was not this time period, but or I mean, I guess it could be, or maybe like the 1960s or something like that. Kind of modern though.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just very like plain Jane. Like she didn't look like a priestess or anything like mystical. She was very like, but I'm pretty sure she had on like a white gown, like almost
Mm,
like a nightgown, like I'm talking like you would see in a horror
yep.
movie or something, like where it's like not anything
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we almost kind of like this, but just like a straight gown. And it
Well,
was
I
white.
love that too, because it's like here's the extraordinary in the seemingly normal, in the seemingly ordinary. Here's the extraordinary, and that duality.
Yeah, and the kids like the goat, like they weren't scary. There
Yeah.
was like I right now I'm getting a visual of one like sticking out its tongue at me to like it was very playful. And it was
Yeah.
like I was very curious about it and it was very curious with me. It was like, oh, like, it was excited that I was there because it's like, oh, okay, she can see us and we're gonna play or whatever we're gonna do.
It
Um,
kind of reminds me of the Fool too. Like I feel like, especially that, not that like it's a dead child, but it's the ghost of a child, and it makes me think about the important aspects of the Fool coming through, even though you're not in the
yeah.
Fool's place anymore. You're at the High Priestess's place. There's
Hmm.
still that ghosted energy that wants to remain evident in your experience.
Hmm. Yeah, and I like, and one thing I want to touch on too, just for anyone listening, because we mentioned day residue, and we actually have an episode about day residue. Sorry, I don't remember the number. But like one of the things we mentioned and talked a lot about in that episode is that like, yes, it could be day residue, but it's like, why did your conscious or your subconscious like choose this thing,
Yep.
right? Why did it hold on to this to like bring it through? Like it was easy to grab because it was like fresh there, but why this specific? Like I could have like since I've been watching Game of Thrones, I've been having um Jon Snow, like one of the main characters, show up in my dreams a lot. And so like this time it wasn't him though. It was like, these undead children, but they were not like they were alive. They were just basically translucent. Like,
Yeah.
so no, it was really interesting, but I felt like it was very clear. It was very direct, a response not only to my inquiry of like this dream incubation like practice, but also like to what I have going on in my life. Um,
Absolutely.
so, and then the nature of like the rest of the dream, like with the restaurant, like I've been having that as a recurring dream the past like several months. And it always has to do with like my work now and like what I've been like talking to my counsel about it, my spirit guides has
Right.
been around like my work and like my practical life and, all the logistics of that. And so it all made sense within the context of like other things going on in the dream and then that being like a specific focal point. Um, so yeah.
Wow, what a cool dream to have come through for the High Priestess. I love when we do this. Like I said, I'm going to put mine under my pillow tonight and maybe the night after, and I'm going to try to conjure up my own High Priestess energy infused dreams. And if I do, I will absolutely be talking about them a little bit in the intro of our next episode,
Yeah.
because it's just one of those energies that is just, it's such a cool, I like you said, I think, and you think, everyone who embarks on tarot, the Fool's Journey, has a deeply important relationship with the High Priestess.
Yeah. You're not mad when you see her. You might like roll your eyes or like laugh,
Right.
but you're just like, you know,
Yeah.
people are always like, oh, that's me in the deck, you know. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like it gives that energy. Similar to like the
Right.
Empress. The Empress kind of gives that energy too. Everyone loves the Empress.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I love this because it makes me think of what's that movie with the emotions? Um
Inside Out? Or do you
yes.
no, is
Inside
that
Out.
what you're talking about?
Inside
Okay.
Out. So it makes me think of like, okay, well, what cards are your inside out emotions? So like, the High Priestess is definitely one of mine for sure. The Hermit,
Oh,
um,
that's a good one.
the Tower, fortunately or unfortunately, like whatever it is, what it is. It's a
Oh,
neutral card for
the
me.
star is one of yours, I would say.
The what?
The star.
Oh yeah, I would say the
Yeah.
Star too. I would say even death, like that
Yeah.
rebirth, the like ending of the old self, and the new coming in, and just the whole, all of that. But like if you guys ever want to have fun with that, you should do like a write down what your inside out tarot emotions are that live inside your head and dictate your experiences.
Yeah. So I think one of the things we forgot to also, well, I think we did say it, but I guess to make it clear, with the High Priestess. So say if you are doing a reading, on like doing a tarot reading to, receive more wisdom or clarity around your dream, um in a reading it could symbolize that the dream message will come in layers, like the guidance, the meaning, whatever is coming through might come in layers, or the message is within you, which is, or not giving the answers, which is definitely like I didn't even have to pull cards on that. My my dream was like, nope, stop asking. So
Absolutely.
I had that in there.
I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
It feels just like a very innate connection with your intuition and your inner self, and like the trusting,
Yeah.
trust me. When you need to know, you'll know.
You'll know. I know. Actually, I got really solid proof of that today, and I'll share that with you later. But yeah, it was like I'm noticing how like whatever this the support that I need is there, and it's some like for whatever reason it comes right at the like 11th hour, but I'm seeing it. And so now I think it's strengthening, it's moving beyond trust for me, and it's strengthening the knowing, where it's just like you just
Yep.
got to know. Like
Yep.
just know, let it go. You don't need to worry
Mm-hmm.
about it. Just like know, just like other stuff. Like you don't question it. You don't have to be like, oh, I trust that I'm gonna get up and walk out of bed. Like I know I'm gonna get up and walk out.
Yeah, it's second nature.
Yes. So
Yeah.
it's like I need to somehow apply that to other things.
Right.
Um, and that's happening. And like like it's coming in layers, right?
Right.
So yeah. Awesome. Well, any last things that you want to add here at all?
Not that I can think of at the moment. My brain is about at empty, at
Right.
dead battery.
Starts up, right. Well, I'm excited for the next one in this series because that'll be interesting. The Hierophant, I have like a interesting connection with, or I don't know if I would say connection, but it's one of those cards where I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, I
The
don't get
Hierophant.
it. Yeah, that's next, right? Oh no, no, no.
The
Oh,
Empress.
the
I was
Empress.
like, wait.
Ah, how did I jump to? Wow.
Obviously, you really want to do the Hierophant.
Yeah, I don't know. I was
The
thinking
way that
about
came out so
sometimes
naturally.
I used to like look at the High Priestess and the Hierophant as counterparts, like
Mm-hmm.
within like the sacred like lessons. And so I automatically was like, okay, next is the Hierophant. No, you're right, the
Right.
Empress. Oh, that's gonna be fun to sleep with. Okay.
Mhm.
That I cannot wait for that episode. But yeah, so next week we're going to be talking about nature spirits and dreams, connecting with the thinning veil, because as we get closer to Beltane, which is on May 1st, that is that opposite end of the spectrum, or the wheel of the year of Samhain. So that's a time where the veil is thin, and here in the northern hemisphere it's thinning towards life, and so we're seeing nature come alive and like the in between of that. So we want to do a little spring episode and talk about the elements of nature and fairies and all of those things showing up in dreams and such. So I'm really excited to chat about that. Um, but yeah, until then, did you have anything you wanted to? Or
No,
you
I'm just so
excited?
excited
Okay.
because it's such a perfect transition from the High Priestess to the thinning of the veil around like Beltane and nature spirits, and I'm so excited for
I'm
next
really
week's episode. And
um
remember, everybody, in preparation for our next tarot episode, sleep with the Empress.
Sleep with the Empress. That's gonna be so much fun. I like, I don't, I need that. I need that energy actually. So I'm so
Yeah.
looking forward to that.
Yep.
Um, so yes, we will see you all, or yeah, we'll be chatting next week. And let us know what you think in the comments. And yeah, sweet dreams, everyone.
Sweet dreams.